Now, I know usually you do not hear my voice before our cool little intro that comes on, but today we have an incredibly exciting announcement. Today, we officially announce and launch GTM Fund 2, our second early stage venture capital fund. Our first fund was 22 million, and thanks to our strong portfolio, our incredible founders, and our unique differentiation across the venture landscape of having these just world-class go-to-market leaders who help grow and scale our portfolio companies, we decided we need to go bigger. And today I can finally announce that we not only hit our $50 million target, but we actually oversubscribed the fund in one of the hardest fundraising environments in really the last 2 decades. And you'll be able to read more about it in TechCrunch. We'll put the article in the show notes. And it certainly took, the whole team to hit this milestone. And I personally could not be more proud of the entire go-to-market team. And just a massive thank you to the hundreds and hundreds of people who helped open doors for us, took a chance on the new kids in venture, our amazing founders, our existing LPs for jumping on late night reference calls and just going way, way, way above and beyond. It doesn't happen without all of you. And of course, a thank you to you. This podcast has played a key role in elevating our brand, both as a fund and as a media company. And certainly just feeling a lot of gratitude and pride today. So thank you. Thank you. But that's enough of the mushy stuff. We're here to talk GTM. Let's get into it.
All CEOs and founders want three things. Number one is money. Number two is customers. And number three is talent. If you want to get the attention of a founder or CEO, it's money, customers, or talent.
Scaling the vision requires finance, legal, people ops, and some of these maybe unsexy roles that are absolutely critical.
Customers unlock talent. You got revenue, they want to work for you. Money is very important, don't get me wrong. But I always say, I can give you $10 million to sit on the sidewalk. It doesn't do anything. It just sits on the sidewalk. It needs to get converted into talent and customer. We are no different than a professional sports team. And you got to assemble the right team to win championships. When you're at a championship level, you're competing with the money that can buy LeBron, can buy everyone. It's about the potency of the talent and putting it together. Startups have gone from a hobby to a profession. There's only two ways a company gets money, an investor or a customer. You want it to be the second. The biggest companies in the world, the ratio of how much money they took in versus how much money they took in from a customer, right, is dwarfed. That's it. It's that simple. Get more money from customers, not investors. You win.
Behind the scenes, it was a small group of people that were doing everything.
Welcome back to the GTM podcast. It's your host, Scott Barker. I want to know how this insane growth actually happened. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to welcome everyone back from the holidays. Most people know that I am almost always on, regardless of holidays, but I certainly am not checking emails as much as I normally would. I do my best to be present around friends and family. And this year I came back to work and had so many emails in my inbox. The number was pretty terrifying. But since I started using Superhuman last quarter, I was actually able to get back to inbox zero within like 20 minutes. It helps me and the team be so much more productive. Honestly, don't know how I didn't start on Superhuman sooner. I used to be an inbox zero kind of guy, but as my personal media presence, the fund, and our community grew, it became harder and harder to actually make that happen. But I started on Superhuman. It was the most seamless onboarding experience. Everything in my inbox synced within minutes. Superhuman works with your existing Gmail or Outlook accounts. They actually studied the most efficient people and built the habits that they use right into their platform. The intentionality behind the product absolutely blew me away, even down to the analysis of proximity of your fingers to which keys so that the shortcuts you use can be as efficient as possible. I love to see leaders implementing this kind of best in breed solution for their teams, allowing them to simplify and in turn speed up efficiency. I would have loved to have this in my sales days or when I was leading my teams. It would have been an absolute game changer, helping me to better manage emails, to prioritize quick responses, collaborate with other stakeholders, and of course, close deals faster. For anyone that knows me personally, you know that I hate the admin side of sales. It was never my favorite. I want to be in front of customers, prospects, and I've always tried to spend as much time as I can helping interesting people solve interesting problems. So if I was on Superhuman then, cutting back all the unwanted admin, I could have gone from stage one to closed one way, way quicker and wouldn't have had as many late nights doing inbox warfare and admin catch up. That being said, second best time is now, so I'm all in. New year, time to take back control of my inbox. And 2025 is the year of inbox zero for me. If anyone else wants to take back control of their inbox and empower their teams to do so as well, Superhuman is generously offering the GTM Now community exclusive access to 1 month free on the platform. And if you add any teammates in January to your team, they will also get a free month as well. So to join for free, go to superhuman.com/GTM now. That's superhuman.com/GTMNOW. Check out Superhuman at superhuman.com. Hello and welcome back to the GTM podcast. You've got your host, Scott Barker, fresh off of some much needed out of office time. Just got back from Mexico City. And my guest, Casey Wu, is actually flying down to Mexico City like next week. Is that right?
That's right. I'm very excited.
I love that, man. I love that. So you guys are opening up a new chapter down there.
That's right. Yeah. So my company, Operators Guild, or the community, is launching its 21st chapter, Mexico City.
Hell yeah.
It's definitely a very up and coming tech ecosystem out there that I'm excited to help invest in.
It is. It really is. I always enjoy my time down here, and it seems to be a beacon for a lot of really talented folks. So anyway, I've been super excited to have this conversation. It's bounced around a little bit on the calendar, so I'm excited to nail you down. And for our listeners, I'll do a quick bio. So Casey Wu is a seasoned multi-stage operator, brings over 2 decades of experience in investment banking, public equity investing, high growth, operational, and military leadership experience. And his last role was the CFO at Landing, where he oversaw the company's finance, legal, and people operations. And then prior to that, he served as the global head of strategic finance at WeWork, which would have been a crazy, crazy run. So excited to get into that a little bit. But now he oversees 1,000 CEOs, COOs, and CFOs as the founder of Operators Guild. If you're not familiar, it is an invite-only community for professionals in strategic finance and operations roles. So not unlike GTM Fund and GTM Now, just another leg of the stool. And I don't usually go into people's education background, but did graduate from Harvard and West Point, which I think is definitely worth shouting out. But man, I do feel like we kind of clicked on our very first meeting, and that's why I've been excited to host you on this podcast. And I think we just see the world in a very similar light. And typically we bring on revenue leaders, founders, but as I said, that is one leg of the stool, and it's important to hear from other voices from time to time. And we've had conversations in the past where it's like, you've got to build the vision, you got to sell the vision, and then you got to scale the vision. And scaling the vision requires finance, legal, people ops, and some of these maybe unsexy roles that are absolutely critical. And that's been your world. And maybe a good place to start is, pulling from your time at Landing and WeWork. What did you wish more CROs, VPs of sales, your counterparts on the revenue side knew about how to communicate with you, the CFO, and kind of the finance and ops team?
Yeah, I have a thing where when I start a new CFO role, I sit down the entire team, and I think one of the most important things for leadership is setting the mindset and the tone. It's no different than the Trump administration has a certain tone, or the Biden administration, whatever it is. it's a mini administration where it's not about just the work being done, but it's how you act, how you behave, what your policies are. For me, I say, hey, CFO organizations or offices can basically be broken into two different types. One is the enforcer, right? You've heard Dr. No, the police force, etc., which is fear-driven, whip-driven, and of course the opposite, right? The enabler, the empower, the partner. I say it's customer service. Hey everyone, if you thought you were like the police person with power over, no, you are the customer service representative for our CRO, our CTO. Our customers aren't the customers of the company, by the way. Our customers are all the employees. And I need you to have that mentality. And by the way, I'm going to answer your question, which is, first of all, that CFO needs to set that tone. If they set the tone as an enforcer, it's going to be naturally really hard for a CRO to approach. Because you're not setting up trust. Okay. If hopefully your CFO is doing enabler partnership rather than I'm going to call you out, I'm watching you, that makes it pretty easy and the invite for all the other execs, especially obviously go-to-market and engineering, to bring them into the fold. So number one is the modern CFO wants to be and should be deeply integrated into go-to-market and product. The days of I'm an accounting FP&A, I do the budget only, those days are over. That is so table stakes. If you want to be a good CFO, you need to know what the hell is going on in that go-to-market meetings, at least at a high level. So I think it's sensing that that's an exec that wants that, and then teaching them, bringing them in, saying things like, hey, would you want to be part of our weekly stand-up? Or, come as you wish, but it's really this partnership quiver. The second is transparency. It's very simple, right? If you're surprising the CFO every time, that's not building trust. That's clearly like, I can't trust everything the CRO says. If it's like, listen, advance notice, we're going to have a hole in revenue here. Our pipeline's getting weak here. I just want to let you know. Oh my God, that is like, and so eventually what happens is you build a partnership where it's happened a lot of times where, to be quite honest, the CFO helps you make you look good, or he greases the skids for the CEO to take the hit for you. But the more notice and the more advanced notice you have, there's a lot of information the CFO has that can help you, and especially when it comes to political stuff, right? Let's call it what it is. Humans are political, right? So what you don't want to do is start, and this is what happened, no, I can't name the company, but where the VP of sales was literally treating me like an outside entity. And this is my territory, stay out of it. It's kind of an old school type of mentality. He made a lot of enemies. I didn't trust what he was doing. A lot of it was hands off, get out of my kitchen. That doesn't do good for anyone. And it gets reported up, right? Where it's like, I can't get anything from this person, et cetera. That's just going to be whittling away. So it really is a long way of saying, bring them into the fold, partnership, help me. And from there, you'll be surprised. They can really help soften the blow. And look, I get it. CFOs understand that marketing and sales want to look good. Mm-hmm. We have a joke. It's like, there's the metrics they share us and the metrics they create. It's magical what go-to-market creates for metrics. It's all the stuff that has really good output. Mm-hmm. But work together to find a real one, because if you do those things, people know. And then your reputation immediately is someone that's self-serving. Mm-hmm. So that's really the biggest advice, is don't be self-serving and just be dead honest, and you'll get a lot of people who will help you succeed and want you to succeed, versus watching when you trip up and calling you out. Like, okay, we're going to call them out. What kind of metric is that? It's just a very, very negative ROI.
Yeah. I think that's all great stuff. If I'm a CRO and I'm listening to this, or I'm heading up sales, and I feel like I have a Dr. No as my counterpart, as you said it, like a fear-driven CFO, and I'm worried to go to them. There's always battles when I go to them for things. Is there anything I can do to address that and do they even want to play that role? Are they sometimes forced to play that role?
That's such a good question. I mean, of course, it's case by case. I think if I were to once again break it up into two categories, there are the people that are going to be hard asses, and they're just going to be hard asses. Like they have no interest, and that's just who they are. That's where they're from. Then I think you spend more time being professionally transparent and delivering the information real time, and you don't need to be partners with them. It's just, I got a job to do, just straight facts here. The others that you can tell want to be included. They might be, you have to read the room. They might be new. They want to show the CEO they're delivering value. If it's the second one, you help them look good, right? It's what it is. It's helping people succeed. So you find out very quickly. So I ask everyone, when you sit down with your stakeholder, write down on a piece of paper, what's their pain point? What do they care about? Like, what is it? Is it commissions? Is it their issues with the team? And then the second is what you can help with them immediately. Is there anything going on right now I can help you, right? So you can reverse it from a CRO to a CFO. Hey, anything, it could be, I don't have a lot of visibility in XYZ. Immediately, like customer service, come back 2-3 days later and say, hey, remember that thing you said? I put some work with my team on to be able to help you get more visibility. Right? You just start to help someone solve their problem. And that begins the erosion of the no. Mm-hmm. It's a classic, just build trust. Is this person for me or against me? That's exactly what's happening in the first meeting. For me or against me? Trust them or can I trust them? And you have to repeatedly do things of pure altruistic, like, I'm going to help you, like any relationship. Then all of a sudden, it softens. From there, go back, invite them to the meeting. But give them information and intel almost like before anyone else knows. Right? They're in their club. And lastly, CFOs don't want to get surprised because their job is to look out. Their job is to forecast. So whatever you can do to ease their stress, budget surprises, misses surprises, they need to be the first to know because that's how they look good to their boss, right? So, or looping them in on big decisions, right? It's all very first principles of relationships that people forget. But you can break someone down from a no to this. And then at the very end, it's like, listen, I feel like we have this like police relationship. I want to bring you in the fold more. We should be partners. It's going to be better for us that way, right? There's always just a straight up call them out. Mm-hmm. And you'll be surprised. You'd be surprised how they're like, wow. Yeah.
What I find super interesting is, you said two questions there, what's their pain point and what do they care about? And, although you have your CFO lens on, you're starting to, sound a lot like the CROs that we have on this podcast, because they're doing essentially the same thing, except their buyer is external and your buyer is internal. And I think if people can really internalize that and understand that, they can then start speaking the same
I
language.
Never thought about it. You take the superpowers that are natural to a sales leader. Mm-hmm. What are sales leaders? They're really good relationship people, especially at the enterprise level. They're trained relationship people. Just turn it inside. And again, you're right. You call it something really good because the stereotypical finance is very analytical, very execution based. They're kind of forgetting about the relationship. And I think that's pretty much what I'm sharing with my team is relationship is the most important. I kind of say with your CEO, you could be the smartest CFO in the world, the best. Everything's going to come down to your relationship with the CEO. I've seen people with the most extremely good relationships with their CEO and they suck. It's all good. It's all good for a long time. And some of the best CFOs who just cannot build a rapport, they're out. Mm-hmm. So what's more important, extreme competency or EQ? Yeah. It's EQ.
EQ.
All the time.
EQ.
All the
time. How did you learn that? I think that's something I really appreciate about you is you've been able to grow your career and you can have the talk with a finance professional, with a legal professional. You can get in the weeds with me on go-to-market, on sales and marketing. How did you learn to speak the multi-languages of business when many usually go really deep or niche on maybe one or two?
Yeah, this is the fun topic we had a conversation about, and I think that's what you're referencing, which is so at the Operators Guild, what I've learned is, who is the Operators Guild? We don't code and we don't sell, right? We're the biz ops strategy. And when you think about that role, it's cross-functional. It has to be. I mean, by definition, it's not an organ of the body, it's the arteries, right? So the arteries run through the whole thing as compared to any one thing. So we are the nervous system arteries, if you want to use that analogy, which means we have to talk to and interact with every organ in the body, which is a very different role than what the heart does. The heart doesn't necessarily talk to the liver. I'm getting a little out there, but it's in charge of its function and it needs to just beat the heart, right? Ours is taking care of everyone. Communicating across every organ is what we do. Okay. What happened was I had 10 years in Wall Street and I felt like a fish in water there. I mean, I wasn't like fulfilled, which is why I left, but these are my finance bros or gals. I just felt very at home. Then I joined a 10-person startup. And for some reason, when I was communicating or trying to sell something or convince someone of something, it went from very easy in Wall Street to very difficult. And yet everyone I'm working with in startup is smart, English fluency. And then I quickly learned as a rookie operator, the difference between a rookie operator and a senior operator is Google Translate. So the analogy I use, in Wall Street, there's only two zoo animals. I'm going to make them up. A rhino and a bear. A rhino is the investing team. The bear is the assistants. There's only two people at a hedge fund. It's the investors and the assistants. That's it. Kind of like VC. So when you're speaking to another, in this case, what I say, rhino, whatever I called it,
Rhino,
you're just speaking and the rhinos speak. And then you learn one language called the bears and how you interact with the assistants. Great. In startups, it's a goddamn zoo. It is, the CRO is a different animal than the marketing person. The narcissist CEO is a different animal than the paranoid accountant. So all of a sudden, as I've progressed through my career, you start to realize that you're actually speaking 8 languages at a startup. Marketing people talk budget. That's what they want to talk about, right? That's how they're focused on the budget, right? Engineering likes to talk about technology, new technologies and impact. So a good example I had was, I remember trying to explain to the CTO that we needed like a process. We needed to get our COGS down. And most of our COGS was hosting costs, which is under his control. So explaining gross margin to him, the COGS and the costs, whatever. And you could see he's very smart. Well, like I said, English fluent, didn't understand. I brought in the founder who was half engineer and half business. I spoke to him. I said, this is what I'm saying. And he turns over to him and says, oh, what he's saying is, those hosting costs that we have? Yeah. So basically every compute point or whatever that we can reduce it, you get another engineer. And he's like, got it. I'm on it. And that's when I learned, I'm speaking French and this guy is Russian. That's going to be a really, really hard time if you really thought about all the languages. So over time, I'm whatever you call octolingual. And you collect languages. And it is amazing once you have their language. But think about budgeting. So the other thing I realized, I sit in a room with a salesperson, that's a completely different budgeting conversation than tech, than product, right? So anyhow, so you'll just see very quickly, any cross-functional role, it's actually a whole bunch of different breeds talking to each other. And that's why you get into fights. That's why you get like the product person battling the CRO. Mm-hmm. Different countries and different languages. So anyways, that's what I call Google Translate. The faster you can actually speak their actual language rather than English, the faster you can pass any bill through Congress.
Yeah. For yourself, like your initiatives, and then also you can act as the conduit or the translator between all the other, organs. And so even if they don't know the language of the heart or the liver, you're the one that can.
That's right.
We're now
CFO,
mixing analogies, but I think
no,
we're
but
getting there.
the CEO and CFO are cross-functional, sit in the center. They're
Yeah.
switching one-on-one meetings with completely different species.
Mm-hmm.
Their job is to translate it all. That's actually what's happening. And then to balance the whole biosphere, but you need all the different animals to use analogy. Everyone has a very powerful specialty, but to work together, that's language and communication.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why budgets are so hard to do.
Yeah, because there's a large part is relationship management, storytelling, and translating when it seems like it's numbers driven.
Yeah. Why can't I get my budget? It's just balancing all dependencies. But you got to speak their language of why they can't. It's no different than any relationship. When you tell a kid why they can't have something, there's ways of telling them that make them understand, and there's ways of telling them that piss them off.
Yeah. I love it. So I want to shift gears a little bit, or actually go back to something we talked about. So we have these, broadly main pillars of company growth. You got to build, you got to sell, you got to scale.
Yeah.
And then, in the past, there's really been this fourth pillar to build a large software AI company, which was capital. And I think you and I, and this is based on some past conversations we have had, are seeing some shifts in that last bucket, partly because it is what we do. And with what you're seeing at Operators Guild, as well as Fog Ventures, which is kind of a venture arm of Operators Guild, what we're seeing at GTM Fund and our community, where people can actually now get access to that fourth pillar, capital, from folks that have experience within the other three main pillars. And, I think you've kind of coined it as this idea of the rise of the operator, and would love to just sort of geek out on what that means to you a little bit and what you're seeing.
Yeah. It's part of this book I'm trying to write, because I've been there long enough now to see what's happening. I've sat on many different seats as a hedge fund manager on the investing side. Then I became an operator, and then on the VC side. So I kind of circulated all, and a banker as an advisor. All CEOs and founders want three things. Number one is money. Number two is customers. And number three is talent. Now, I think probably customers is number one by far. But the point is, all CEOs and founders, I think everyone needs to remember this. If you want to get the attention of a founder or CEO, it's money, customers, or talent. Customers almost all day long. Money is when they're looking for it. Talent, mostly all day long, unless they're downsizing. Let's go through each of them. Number one, money. It used to be, it was 10 VCs on Sand Hill Road, and they held the special money. And it was hard. It was a big deal. Hey, no offense now, money is plentiful. I mean, you can do charts on how much money, how many VCs are competing. The big hedge funds are tossing in. Bezos has his own fund. You can get money. Money is becoming more of a commodity. The other reason why is so many founders have gone through these cycles. In the beginning, it was like worshiping the investor because they're the boss, so to speak. And then they realize, what's really hard is building this day in, day out. And that is my assistant. That is my associate. That is my talent around me. Money is very important. Don't get me wrong. But I always say, I can give you $10 million to sit on a sidewalk. Doesn't do anything. It just sits on the sidewalk. It needs to get converted into talent and customer. Okay. So if you look at visually, money, customers, talent in your head, and number one is pretty much almost a commodity. Like, you got an idea, someone will fund it. The acquisition cost of what is finite, no matter how much money you raise, there's the number of customer set and the number of talent are finite. We'll do the equation. The cost of acquiring a customer and the cost of acquiring a talent is now skyrocketing. You have way more money going after the same problem. The number of times you've seen a space that's crowded is every day. Okay, so now you put it all together. You go to a second-time founder, and you can offer him money or offer him customers or talent. What do you think he's going to pick? I've got the money. You know what's really hard? And my other competitors going after customers and talent. Now, of course, it's always been customers and talent, but it used to be money was like on the mind.
Mhm.
No. So now think about operators. In Fog, we are both customers and talent. We buy B2B products all day long. It's like a mom's group controls 80% of the household budget. Okay. At the same time, we're the talent. We're the one that sits next to you 60 hours a week building with you because the money doesn't build itself. So the rise of the operators because startups have gone from a hobby to a profession. It's the NFL. There is so many people trying to get drafted, but the competition's up. So it really is. It's very talented operators are needed to win this battle now. It's not good enough to have a product and sell it. That's where the scalers come in, right? It's the third leg is needed to get the edge. Before you just needed one edge, two edge. Now you need all three. At any world-class level, all things got to be hitting on all cylinders, and that's what's happening.
I love how simply you put that, and it's so true. Literally, those are the only things founders care about: money, customers, talent, and they'll take customers and talent over money because money was just a conduit to get customers.
It's a fire starter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way,
yeah.
just to add to that, I tell people, you got customers, you got Sequoia. Guarantee you, if you keep loading up customers, Sequoia is going to be there, right? Or you can try to go after Sequoia first. Okay, it's a little bit harder. Customers unlock talent. You got revenue, people want to work for you. So you just got to simplify it. And then the last thing I would say is there's only two ways a company gets money: an investor or a customer. You want it to be the second. The biggest companies in the world, the ratio of how much money they took in versus how much money they took in from a customer, right, is dwarfed. That's it. It's that simple. Get more money from customers, not investors. You win.
Man, this is good stuff, and exactly how obviously we see the world at GTM Fund, and we've seen it play out over the last 4 years. And the other things I think that are, you said this, these are have always been true, but now with I think we're really hitting, at least on the go-to-market side, like the ability to get customers is harder than ever before. Everything is more saturated. Everything's more competitive. We're all using the same best practices. It's getting harder and harder. So what unfair advantage do you have? Who can unlock little doors? Like those things really matter more than ever. And then on the flip side is, I think the future of even really large, successful organizations, there's going to be less talent, but that talent is going to be the top 1%. So we are all fighting over the same talent because that talent is going to be augmented by AI, and these people will be basically superhuman and able to, just do incredible amounts of things while they're being augmented.
We are no different than a professional sports team. We are athletes, and we have different skill sets, and you got to assemble the right team to win championships. I know that's an overused analogy, but when you're at a championship level, you're competing with the money that can buy LeBron, can buy everyone. It's about the potency of the talent and putting it together, right? And it's no different when you think about a team, but because the stakes are so much higher and everyone's got a lot of money, their salary caps are all gone. The talent is very real. And then now we've gone through enough cycles where there's a difference between world-class, Olympic level, college level, high school level, because there's enough of us now. And it is starting to stratify.
Yeah. Quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I know you've recruited incredible people into this community. You've recruited incredible people to work for you in multiple different industries. And now that it is more important than ever, and I think every day that I do this, I realize how important that talent is. It's almost everything. And we're going through a hiring cycle for a new associate right now. And it's just like the bar has to be, you have to beat the best, like
That's
the
right.
best in the world. Like you have to just be wow. And if not, then let's hold. And how have you been able to recruit top 0.1% talent in the past and now?
What I try to write about is the breed I look at. I call it special forces of business. It's like the rise. It's the creation of like Navy SEALs. Essentially, is what's happening. Every profession has a persona. You think it's a surprise that when you go to an accounting conference, they all look the same? You think it's a surprise you go to a sales conference and they all kind of look the same, or a legal conference? Operators, you, me, like we meet all the time, founders, we all look the same in a different way. And what that is you have to understand what makes them tick. That's how you recruit someone. What makes an operator tick? They want to win. So how do you win? One of the most exciting things for an operator is working with badasses. They can learn or they can trust the person to their left or right. It's no different than Navy SEALs respect each other. Okay, so the first thing is, who am I working with? Do I want to learn from this person? Are they going to make me better? The second, if you're talking about early stage, is autonomy. We like impact. We don't like things that are thankless, is what we call it. We do something in a big organization and no one cares, and there's like a meaning to what we do. There's an impact we can make, whether it's at a 2-person company or 20% or 2,000, doesn't matter. You got to allow them a seat of impact. So really good people around them, seat of impact, and of course, they got to feel like they're going to win. Whatever they're on, who doesn't want to win? They're generally risk takers. They're very optimistic, so they want to see a winning team. And yeah, and then the other thing is, everyone at the different stages is optimizing for a different thing. You got to learn what that is. Some people are optimizing for money. Some people have never led a team, so they want to lead a team. Some people were really pissed about not being respected in their last thing. They're looking for respect. Make sure you give that to them. It's literally sales psychology, which you can teach me better than anyone, is just, what do they care about? What are their pain points? What do they value? And you can quickly tell what they value, what excites them, what energizes them. But you got to be a winning team.
Yeah.
Or give them something.
I'll try and summarize that. The non-negotiables are, they need to be someone who wants to work with other badasses. They want to have an impact. They want to win. They are a risk taker. Optimism. I like that one because it is very true. If you're too pessimistic, you can't play this game. You're just slowing us down at this point.
Yeah.
You might be wrong, but let us fail and let us fail quicker, and then we can figure it out. And then what I heard the next thing is then you figure out, are they after respect, money, or leadership, or like building a new skill set, and then you can go after them. I like it, man.
We're adrenaline junkies. You got to find out what thing that gets our adrenaline going, and then just give it to them.
Yeah. Love it. All right, man. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you hanging out today. And I got final 2 questions for you. And I always keep them the same. They are intentionally vague. You can take them anywhere you want. But the first question is, what's one widely held belief that founders or executives believe to be true that you think is bullshit or no longer serving us?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the, not the bullshit, but the no longer serving us, which is basically the evolution of the startup. At a high level, early days of tech, it was, you needed a good engineer to build a product. Then it moved to, you have a good product, you really need a good salesperson or sales team to sell it, right? So it kept evolving of what it took. Before, you have a good product, there's no competition, it's fine. Then it became, I have a good sales team, then I beat anyone with just a good product. And then it was, so basically technology was winning. Better tech, right? This thing called SaaS came out and just crushed everyone. What is no longer serving us is, I think we're oddly moving into a world where, dare I say it, with AI, et cetera, having good tech and having a really good, having good tech and a good solution is commoditized. Mm-hmm. That's not how you're going to win. You better have that out the gates. You better have a good engineer. You better have whatever, because AI is like a nuclear weapon that opened an API up. Everyone's got nukes. So if you think you're more powerful and better technology than the next person, not enough. I think the new weapons of differentiation are even more so distribution, the ability to sell the product. Because so many solutions, the only thing that matters is who pays for it. Okay, so you might have existing distribution, like NetSuite has existing distribution. That's pretty powerful now when you layer AI in, right? Even though their technology is old, right? So distribution is now becoming even more critical. The better your hunter, the more you get the edge, and then because it's so crowded. But the other one's velocity. Mm-hmm. I kind of wrote a post that got controversial, but it was I fired for effect, which is the 18-month fundraise cycle is dead. The true story: there was a VC hearing a pitch on Friday. Shot on the idea, was like, you should be doing this or that. On Monday, they came back, the entire deck was changed, and they had that product for whatever he was talking about. I call it research and product. It's not research and development anymore. Development has this idea that you're developing. Give me 6 months, give me 9 months, we show you something. We're talking like within hours I've seen product changes. Zuckerberg talks about it. They're like, why are you so confident you're going to win? Velocity. Whatever we're wrong about, we'll just move so fast there, we're going to beat you. Notice he's not even talking
about. And we have
technology.
a built-in distribution advantage. So we can just,
He's not even talking about my technology is better than yours. So I think the commoditization of technology, funny enough, now don't get me wrong, AI is an innovation like no other, but think about it, it's being given to everyone for $20 a month, air quote. All the edges that the smaller countries did not have over the superpowers, they all have nukes, to use that example. It's not the only 5 countries in the world that have it. Everyone has it. The small guys have it. Now it's going to be distribute, and it's the speed. So these like small teams are catching up so fast because the big guys can't, the velocity also. So anyways, that I think is a changing construct.
Yeah. Speaking my language, I mean, I think we covered two things there through this project. We talked about this one, which is tech is becoming a commodity and capital becoming a commodity. So if those two things are becoming true around the same time, then it makes velocity and distribution, 10x more powerful of a moat. Which I kind of fucking exciting. It's just like game on, it's like it gets me kind of fired up. It's like everyone, to your analogy of like, we've got people in the NFL and people just starting out and people in the college. It's kind of like everyone can get in the game now, but now it's like we'll see who knows how to actually execute and play the game.
To use that analogy, I was watching like MMA fighting or NFL, and you talk to them like, wow, like how was he? And they got beat. They're like, man, his speed, his strength. So when you play football, I did not, but they're like, the speed difference is what they talk about. Like, what's the difference between college and NFL? They're like, the speed of reaction in the pocket, whatever it was, it's 5 seconds in college, it's 3 seconds. And that's actually what's happening to us. You think you're fast, this other engineer is faster than you. And that's who wins Super Bowls. It goes back to the 1% talent. It all like ties back. Speed gets difficult. It really separates world-class from okay, from whatever. And the talent game is now professionalized.
Yeah. And it compounds quickly, which is especially when, you layer on AI, which also compounds quickly. We'll see teams just absolutely rocket ahead and start to dominate, which I think is kind of needed. Everything's murky. It's very competitive. I think we're going to see more breakouts this year, which will be exciting. All right. Final question for you. Everyone, you listen to a podcast, you're like, give me some silver bullet. What can I use right now that might help me, move the needle in my business? What's one tactic or strategy that's working right now either for any of the companies you've invested in or Operators Guild itself?
Yeah, I'll probably cheat and talk about Operators Guild because it's what I know best. But also, it's less for a software company, so to speak. But I think it's appeals to almost anyone that hopefully is listening. When you think of AI and you think of technology and what's happening in the world, I'm long community. Like if community was a stock, buy it. What happens to all this technology? In theory, it gives us more time, right? It gives more time for insights, more time for family, more time to do not email. Now, if we do it all wrong, we just get more busy with stuff that, doesn't do anything, right? But if we do it right, machines and technology are going to give us more time, and people are lonely. Social media, all the stuff you hear, COVID, what is the silver bullet is you must realize whoever I speak to, there's some form of loneliness where they really want to connect with someone. In life, that could be meeting another founder. There's a loneliness in people's lives. And the events we hold, we just took a huge survey. There's a lot of good things we do. Number one, in-person events. Number one, meeting people in relationships. I think it's been forgotten, like the bring back of the dinner party. I am long all in-person events. You know what? The one thing AI is not going to affect for a very long time? Flesh, in-person, grab a drink. Everything else is going to, or plumbers. They're good too. Which is why Elon's doing robotics and stuff. It's like physical world, so there's a lot of like tactics and stuff. And then there's just like making time for relationships and going to events. And if you're in the game of events, by the way, so if you're selling, events could work if it works for your thing. Get people together with the other people and then sell your thing. Because there's too much of all the other non-event stuff in their life. It's just so much, you shut it off or it's just not additive. But events are hard now because we don't need to travel anymore. We don't need to commute anymore. So getting someone out of their seat to drive and park and go somewhere is hard. But I think that's where if you set it up for them and make it easy, like the Mexico City event, that I'm very, very long.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I said at the beginning, we see the world in the same light. Community will continue to grow in importance, and in-person events. Same with GTM now and GTM Fund. Everyone always says like it's actually just like the dinners are like one of my favorite things. Getting together with 40 people who are like-minded, going through the same things. They actually see me. It's huge, and it's about this idea of actually creating connection in a non-commercial environment. And what's funny is when you do that, people want to do commercial business with you, at the end of the day, it's almost that simple. But Casey, this has been awesome, and I am very excited to read your book when you finish that one. And good luck on your Mexico City event. If people want to follow along with you, check out Operators Guild, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, follow me, but so it's operators-guild.com. Any elite badass operators that don't code or sell per se, send them our way. But yeah, that's the easiest way to do it. Reach out, apply if you think you're a fit, or just reach out to me and DM me, and I'll get right back to you.
Hell yeah. Rock and roll. And to all our listeners, I say it every week, listening is one thing, executing something totally different. Hopefully we gave you some ideas, tips, strategies to bring into your organization, and we will see you all next week.